Hello, my spooky babes. I'm back sooner than expected, I know. Welcome back to the boudoir. Now, you know why we're here. We're here because we are going to recant a short story. Now, this, however, is based on an excellent series that I have seen, which is called Terrifying Tuesdays Extreme, and it's on Netflix at the moment. Well, in the UK anyway. It's a Thai series, and it's Thai horror. It's absolutely brilliant so far. The first episode was good. I did enjoy it, but it was that typical kind of haunted doll trope that I've seen many times before. Whereas the second episode was something that was different. It was this aspect and element to it that I didn't quite expect. And I'll tell you for why. There's a young girl. We're going to call her Heather. Heather has this job and she's working in this store, which is a wedding dress store. It's a brand new job. She's so thrilled to get it because it's twice her pay plus accommodation. Now, her mother is happy that she's going to be sent more baht, so she gets to send her 3,000 more baht a month. However, her mother's still going on about finding the right husband. Her boyfriend is not good enough because he can't pay the dowry. Apparently the dowry is around 100,000, 200,000 baht, and the boyfriend, however, sees it as his girlfriend's mother wanting to sell his daughter. And what is that all about anyway? Why is it so important? Now, what I've noticed a lot, and especially from watching the legendary, and I bow my head to you, Stephanie Sue, and learning about East Asian culture, I know all the countries have different elements, but what I have learned is that the characters that are considered not the good characters, like, kind of not of good standing, are those they tend to have dyed hair, piercings, tattoos, riding around on motorbikes or mopeds and having hustling jobs. And that's what this boyfriend is like. So the mother doesn't like him, doesn't want to take him seriously, and wants her to be with more what they'd like to call a CEO type. Anyway, this girl's just thrilled that she's got this new job. Now, she'll be like customer service, dealing with customers, as well as tailoring some of the dresses that need tailoring. Now, as soon as she gets there, the only thing is that the owner of the store, instead of training her in any way, shape or form, even though the girl has worked in this industry before, but instead of training her, is like, I'm off for about 3 or 4 days. I've got XYZ to go to, so you'll be fine on your own, won't you, Heather? So Heather's like, but it's my first day. And she's like, oh, you'll be absolutely fine. It's just like the last shop you worked in. I wish you luck, but you won't need it. And she zooms off. So Heather has a little exploration of the shop, and she's kind of like goes upstairs and she sees that there's loads of dresses up there that were probably dresses that had been made to measure that were then returned for whatever reason, or were dresses made for other reasons. And she was told by the owner that she could possibly find some gems in there. While she's there looking around, she hears this scraping noise along the floor. And whilst she suddenly turns, she notices that there is a like a dress stand where you put the dresses on as you fit them or show them off, that wasn't there, wasn't hanging up, wasn't on show, but is very beautiful. Well, in her eyes, she is mesmerized by it. As she approaches it, she seems like she's in a trance. She puts her hands over it, lovingly caressing it. And it doesn't seem to be Heather anymore. It seems like she's come under a spell. Anyway, she snaps out of it, goes back downstairs, and carries on with her day. The next day, she has a customer. Now, I will just point out, because it is a feature, it comes up in the storyline of this episode. Heather is extremely slim. She's just a very, very slim girl. And the customer is what I would call of average weight, okay? Now, the customer is looking around and doesn't see anything she likes. They're about to go to another store when Heather, knowing that, she also works on commission, she's been trusted with the store, is like, please, 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 don't go. Let me have a look upstairs. So the customer says, okay, let's go and have a look then. She goes upstairs, she goes to have a look, and she sees the dress, the beautiful dress. So she decides to take that downstairs for her to have a look. The customer tries it on and immediately loves it. But as Heather's zipping it up, the zip breaks. So it probably needs alteration of maybe about 2 inches, because it is made for like someone with a very small bust and a smaller person. Now, Heather initially says, yes, I could possibly do this for you. And then they're discussing it. And she goes, well, when could you do it by? And she was like, probably by 3 weeks. And she's like, no, I need it done in a week. My wedding is a week away. I need it done in a week. So Heather initially is like, well, this will take some work. Maybe you could try losing some weight, you fat bitch. Now, as a audience member, I'm like, sorry, what? But Heather doesn't realise she said this. She does not know she said this. The customer does, though, and she heard her. Heather is completely unaware of why the customer's upset. So the customer storms out of the dressing room wearing her, her own clothes, and is taking a video of the shop, who this person is, demands her to tell her name, and says that she's insulted her, a paying customer, insulted her appearance, especially when she's just about to get married. And she says that she will be posting this. Heather begs that she doesn't post it. She says, please, I really need this job. I don't know what happened in there. This will never happen again. Please give me another chance. So the woman's like, raises an eyebrow and still thinking about, storming off. But then she says, I'll give you a discount and I will make it for you within the week. So even though her husband-to-be is like, let's just go somewhere else, this woman is like, no, I want this dress. So she's like, you better make it work within the week. So what ends up happening is that customer leaves and Heather is determined to make this dress the appropriate measurements for the customer. So as she's getting away, working away, more and more she becomes obsessed with this dress. More and more you see her getting enthralled whilst she is sewing away at it. And each time she's sewing, you think she's making it larger, but she actually isn't. She even sews some of her own hair into it. Then her boyfriend turns up and he's at her place. He actually does this stupid jump scare at her. And she's like, what are you doing here? And why are you in your boxers? He's like, what? You opened the door for me. I came to visit you. And she's like, no, I didn't. And he's like, yes, you did. You opened the door. I came in. And then you see this flashback to her opening the door for him, opening the shutters, and she's wearing the dress and the veil, and she looks extremely beautiful. And she does this very seductive moment where she removes her lingerie from under the dress, and he's just like, cartoon, eyes bulging, mouth agape, tongue rolling moment. And they go upstairs. They have their intimate moment and he falls asleep. She then gets up because they have their intimate moments while she's still wearing the dress. And then she gets up. And then the next bit, we see her sitting there thinking, what on earth? Like she has no memory of it whatsoever. So anyway, they end up getting into an argument again because of the dowry thing, because he mentions her being in the wedding dress was quite hot. And then she mentions the whole thing to do with the mother. He gets annoyed, and again, he refers to it as her wanting to sell her daughter, and he storms off. And it's left there. So she's upset. She's sitting there. She's crying. And it comes on to be the next day. The next day, the customer returns. And upon the customer returning, she's very excited to see her dress. But she does notice that Heather looks unwell. She looks skinnier, even within a week. And she's got these bags under her eyes. So when she takes her into the fitting room, she has the dress ready for her. And the customer is happy to try it on. So the customer does notice Heather's appearance. She says, I hope you haven't been spending all night long and missing meals just to finish this dress for me. Because Heather has these dark bags under her eyes, and she does look like she's lost quite a lot of weight in just 1 week. Heather says that no, there's nothing I wouldn't do for a good customer. And of course, the customer's happy and she's trying her dress on, smiling at herself in the mirror, when suddenly the zip seems to go up less than it even did before. So the customer notes this and says, what is this, some kind of joke? This dress is tighter than it was before. You're meant to make it to my measurements. It's like you've made it smaller. You haven't extended it. And Heather's completely surprised and is trying to talk her way around the situation and say, no, I did this myself. I definitely made this to your measurements. And just as the customer's about to give out to her, the zip zips straight up. And you hear it snap into place. And as it starts to compress, you can hear it compressing the body into her bust, her chest, her rib cage. It's almost like, imagine the tightest corset that has ever been made is literally crushing her as she's standing there gasping for air. They both come out of the changing room. The husband-to-be comes to his bride-to-be's side. What's going on? What's going on? The bride-to-be just keeps saying, get it off me, and scratching at the dress. Heather seems dumbfounded. She doesn't know what to do. She can't undo the zip. And then it cuts to another scene. We are now downstairs where they were, but Heather is laying on the floor in different clothes, looking even more unkempt. And it's nighttime. So she makes her way upstairs, and as she's about to make her way upstairs, she is starting to think about all the things that have been happening. She starts to get really concerned that she knows that there's some kind of possession, there's some kind of ghostly, supernatural stuff going on here. So she goes to open the cupboard to get her stuff, and when she does, she sees her deceased boyfriend. Not only is he deceased, but he has a giant pair of clothing scissors jutting out of one eye. She slams the door shut and she panics and she calls the woman from the shop. She's in a panic and the woman is like, what's wrong? Is everything okay? And she's like, no, everything is not okay. There's something wrong in this place. Something's going on. I don't know what's happening here. And, she's obviously trying to tell her bits and bobs about what's been going on. And she says, who is this Pete woman? And it's spelled P-E-T, but the way they kind of pronounce it is Peach. So the owner of the shop says, how do you know Peach? And she goes, what do you mean? She goes, how do you know who she is? She goes, the label was hanging off this dress that the customer wanted. And the owner said, what dress? And then it goes quiet for a minute, and then you see the owner say, listen, get your stuff and get outside of the store now. Meet me outside of the store. Now, this is the moment where you watch these, and as if you're like me and you've watched many horror movies, you think, okay, that's the instruction you've been given. Get out of the store. No, instead there's a bit of a dilly-dally experience, and the dilly-dally takes place while she kind of stares around her. And whilst she does, she is then flung by an invisible force from one side of the room to the other, smacks into the wall real hard. And when she does, she turns around and she sees this ghostly, ghastly, hideous apparition with white, sunken eyes in the wedding dress, cackling at her. We then have a flashback. This flashback is to who Peach was. She was actually the tailor that worked in the shop before. Now, Peach was what we would call a larger lady, and she always wanted to make her own wedding dress that she would love to fit in. And she used to see all these brides coming in and she'd compare herself to all of them. And as we know, comparison is a thief of joy. And in this, they very much make it about her wanting to be, quote unquote, these are the words used in the program, skinny, so that she can wear the perfect dress and get married. So you can see that they're having lunch, the owner of the shop and Peach, and they're talking about the woman who just got married. And Peach says some people have all the luck, and the woman who owns the store says, "Luck? That's not luck. I followed her on Instagram for years. She's had loads of work done." And Peach is like, "Really?" She's like, "Yes, she's had loads of work done. She didn't always look like that. That's not luck. That's money." So Peach sits there for a minute. She goes, "Well, I could get that done." And the owner of the store is like, "Oh, come on, Peach, why would you want to do that to yourself? That's serious surgery." And Peach is like, "But I want to be the person who stands in the beautiful dress, and not just any beautiful dress, but a beautiful dress I made just the way I want, to my specifications. I want to be the beautiful one." So then you have a clip where you see her going to get lipo surgery. They don't show it in detail. It's just like a, setup kind of vision. And then it goes to Peach looking in the mirror. And this is obviously a completely different actress because for several reasons, but also in terms of realism of how liposuction works, it doesn't have that realism. But we are talking about a fictional supernatural show, so we're not going to focus on that. Anyway, she's very happy with her appearance now, and she's extremely slim. However, she starts to become more and more obsessed as she's making her perfect wedding dress. More and more obsessed. Just keep in mind, Peach doesn't actually have a fiance or a boyfriend, but she's making this dress. And as she's making this dress, she is staying up all hours. She is missing meals. She is taking slimming pills. She is making herself ill. Every time she looks in the mirror, she sees her old self. She's got body dysmorphia, and she's getting more and more unwell, more and more delusional. She's not right in the mind. She hasn't got the fluids or the nutrients to keep her well. And as this is happening, as does happen with ED a lot of the time, some of her hair starts to fall out. And when it does, she sews it into the dress to ensure that this dress is part of her. Now, that in what a lot of us crafty women would call is a tag lock. So it's literally part of her tied into part of this dress. So what ends up happening is the owner comes and has a look at Peach and what she's doing up late, doing all this stuff to the dress. And she's like, "Peach, enough is enough. The dress is done, and look at you. You look like a corpse." She then has a go at the boss, gets really rude, says, "I'm just prettier, slimmer, and younger than you. That's why you're jealous." And then in a fit of rage starts to strangle the boss. So they have this back and forth with each other. They're fighting, and it seems like Peach is getting the best of the boss, even though she's this slight little thing. But it seems that she's getting the better of her. And in instinct, the boss grabs the nearest thing, which happens to be some clothing shears, and puts them straight through Peach's neck. Now, unfortunately, Peach then passes away, and she's not spoken of again. But what ends up happening is that when the boss comes looking for Heather, it's not Heather she finds. It's Peach in Heather's body, wearing the dress. Of course, the inevitable happens. She murders the old boss, and then she says, "I cannot leave, not until my dream is done." And then the next thing you see is a wedding scene set up. And there's these candles and flowers and lovely colours. And the deceased wedding owner is sitting in a chair as a guest. And the deceased boyfriend is being propped up by some kind of carrying device to be the groom, and he's wearing a suit. And Peach is walking down the aisle in Heather's body, possessed, to her groomsman, and she kisses him on the lips, and when she does, she awakens. Heather is back. She sees what's around her, and she screams. This is her living nightmare, because Peach has left. She finally got exactly what she wanted. Alas, for poor Heather, what a conundrum she finds herself in. But at least Peach got what she wanted. It ended well for her. Kinda. Anyway, that's it for now, my spooky babes. If you did enjoy the retelling of this story, please do hit the like button. And for those of you that haven't, please subscribe. I appreciate and I'm grateful for all my subscribers. Even though I am a teeny tiny channel, I am very, very grateful for those of you that enjoy tuning in and watching and listening to me telling these stories, because I very much enjoy telling them. So I may do another one of these terrifying Tuesday extremes if I come across them. And there's one I'm thinking that really stands out to me. If not, then I won't. But if you have an interest in them, they are on Netflix in UK anyway. And like I said, there's like a different story each episode. Thank you very much for watching. Please don't forget to hit that notification bell. I know people are sick and tired of hearing things like this, but that is the only way to rise me from the dead. Until next time, stay safe, stay spooky, 'cause I love you.